Caitlin. I am super excited for the flow that we have today, the Vinyasa that we'll be doing. And that is because it is all about strength and heat and that connecting with that core center part of you. So if you have had a very long day and you just need to relax and decompress, this is not the flow for you. I would recommend doing a restorative flow. The water element flow is a little more down regulating, even just a breathing exercise if you just need some stress relief. This flow is all about energy and fire and heat. So it is a great one to do in the morning. I love this as like a wake up routine to really get you fired up. Think of building that heat quite literally, like getting fired up for the day ahead of you. We will be working a lot with our core, and I just want you to stay connected to that core of your body and think of just like shining out and letting that heat and that fire that lives inside you burn brighter. So we will be working with Ha Kriya breath in Goddess Pose. If you have not watched the video on how to do that, I recommend that you pause and go watch that video so that when we come into Goddess Pose, you can join us in Ha Kriya or joyous breath, and you don't think, what is she doing? So that will inform you to be able to do this vinyasa and really enjoy it. I also just want to point out your abs will really be strengthened here. We'll be getting into your glutes and your quads. Like this is a strength. This is calling on your strength. It's that powerful, empowering side of yoga. And I love this kind of yoga. It's one of my favorite styles. That being said, I want you to resist the urge to think of this as an ab workout. You will definitely get the benefits as though it's an ab workout, but again, just stay connected to your breath, and mind-body connection is really important here, and just focus on your whole core. Sometimes when we think about abs, one, maybe we dread an ab workout, and so I don't want you to bring that to this flow. I want it to feel good and to empower you. And yes, you'll get those ab toning benefits, but that's not what it's about. It's about connecting to your core and feeling your own strength in your body. We are going to get into our shoulders a little bit as well, do some great heart opening and shoulder opening exercises. And that's great if you've been sitting or hunched over a keyboard or a phone. So I think that's going to feel really great and really allow you to like shine out brightly as well. I do recommend that you use a strap if you have one. And I'll show you when you can use that. When we get into our shoulder work, it's great to have a strap. And then I also, if you don't have a strap, you can use a towel, and you don't need a big towel. You can use like this is just like a little like hand towel size. So just get a towel, a belt, something to use if you don't have a lot of shoulder flexibility when we come into those poses. So let's get started. Let's work with the fire element, build some strength, build some heat. And I think you're gonna just love this flow. I know that I love this one. So start by coming into a child's pose, and you can just bring your toes together, your knees out as wide as you want them, and then just let your hips sink back, and you're going to extend your arms long in front of you, just stretching onto the mat, bringing your hands out wide, getting that stretch, pulling all the way down to your underarms, your armpits, that whole side body feeling that stretch. Forehead is on the mat, and just let yourself sink in here and start to connect with your breath. Invite in the 5 qualities of the yogic breath. Now, if your mind is particularly chatty today, you can roll your forehead back and forth on the mat. Roll out some of those thoughts. And today we'll work with the mantra, just breathe. So inhale, just, exhale, breathe. Letting those thoughts slip away onto the mat and arriving here in your practice. And as you breathe, I want you to bring your attention to that core part of you. few inches below your sternum and a few inches above your navel. And just start to breathe into that core center. Feel the breath flow in through your back body, feeding that bright light at your core center. And as we're here for several breaths, just focus on that light inside of you. I love this pose because just like the sun is not always present, you don't have to have your heart out, your front body to shine. So think of yourself as kind of protecting that little light, letting it be dim if it needs to. Just as we have this cycle of day and night, can you let that light shine brightly when you need it to? And trust that those moments that feel dark, it will return. Take a few more breaths here, arriving on your mat, coming into your practice as you just breathe. Start to bring little movements into your hands, wiggle your toes. And when you're ready, come up into a tabletop position. So your hands are under your shoulders, knees are under your hips, and immediately allow your hips to sink down and your toes to curl up. Head looks back. And then we're just going to flow back and forth between these two poses. So sink back into child's pose, knees out wide, toes together, forehead on the mat. And then on the inhale, roll up, bringing your toes up off the mat, letting your hips sink down. You can put a slight bend in your elbows and just breathe as you flow back and forth between these two poses, letting your body start to warm up. Feel that heat you are starting to invite in, building from your core. Connect with your breath as you move here. Your hands can be a little bit out in front of you like a plank. If you have trouble with your wrists, you can always come to a fist position if that's more comfortable. Or you can even try to do forearms up on the blocks if that's more comfortable. But just continue to flow through these two movements. Feeling your core pull you up and back, letting your hips sink into child's pose. And then when you're ready, on the inhale, feel that core pull and flow you forward as you let your hips sink, your elbows bend slightly, toes point up, and eyes to the ceiling. And feel the heat you're generating. On your next inhale, you're going to roll all the way forward, bringing your knees closer together. You're going to put your shins down on the mat and come into just a kneeling plank position. We'll be using plank throughout this practice, and at any point if you want to bring your knees to the mat, that's perfectly fine. But feel that strength in your core, really push the floor away from you. And I like to spin my hands out just a little bit. It's more comfortable in my body that way. And then on the exhale, lower all the way down slowly with control, bringing your upper body to the mat. We're going to take our arms out wide, tense your fingers, bring your legs together and push the tops of your feet down into the floor, and we're going to rise up into Cobra, pulling with your back strength, and then lower. On the inhale, rise up, lifting the crown of your head toward the ceiling, pulling through that back. And exhale, forehead comes to the mat. Let's flow through this pose a few more times and feel that core strength, not just in your abs and front body, but feel that strength lifting you up in your back. On the next inhale, we're going to drop your left shoulder to the mat and pick your right leg up, bringing your heel toward your back. Just bending at the knee here. Inhale, come back to center, and we're going to repeat on the other side. So the left shoulder comes toward the mat, and the right foot comes up. And we're just going to flow back and forth in this dancing cobra flow, moving at your own pace, listening to your own breath. Just breathe. Left shoulder comes to the mat, right leg comes up. Inhale up through center, right shoulder comes down to the mat, left leg bends in. Notice if you're gripping with your fingers, can you bring lightness? This movement should come from your back, not from your fingers pushing up. Take one more round on each side. Just breathe. And on your next exhale, we're going to bring your hands down under your shoulders, curl your toes up, and push up into our first plank. Again, you can do a kneeling plank here if you'd like. And then bring your left foot forward into a lunge. Throughout this practice, anytime you need to come down to your knee, please do so. And just know we're going to be building a lot of heat, and you will still get those benefits with your knee down. So come up to this lunge. Left knee is bent to a 90-degree angle. Toes are flexed, holding you up. And just really engage your core as you lift up by pushing down into your feet, rising up into this high lunge. From here, bring your hands into heart center, into a prayer position, and we're just going to hold this for one breath, in and out. Just breathe. And then start to hinge forward, pushing into that back foot, coming over your right knee, and take your hands in prayer position and twist to the left. Keep them at your heart center to help your upper body twist. You don't want to twist just from your hands. You want to rotate your whole upper body toward the left over that bent knee. You can stay right here in this twisted lunge position, feeling the heat build in your body. Or, if it's available to you, you can bend your right elbow down to that left knee and come into a revolving lunge. And we're just going to stay here for a couple of breaths, breathing in just this. Knee can come down at any time. Just feel your strength as you let that fire burn and build inside of you. Picture that light at your core growing stronger. And on the next exhale, lift back up into your lunge. Bring hands back down to the mat, framing that foot into that runner's lunge position. And then from here, we're going to step our right foot up to meet our left and come into our first forward fold. So your feet are about hip width apart.
to rock back and forth into my feet a little bit, coming into this forward fold, and then just let your upper body pour over those legs. Since this is your first forward fold, you may feel like a little tightness in your hamstrings. I know I do. And so you can always just like bend down, lift one heel at a time. Just bring a little movement here. And let your head, I like to look at my knees, not the floor, because at some point you're going to bring your head to your knees. And so you want to start looking that direction. Just stay here, let that blood rush to your head, letting those thoughts release. And from here, you're going to bring your big toes together to touch and keep your heels out wide. Bend at the knees and sink your hips back, bringing your arms out overhead into what's called chair position. So just like you're sitting into a chair, and then your arms come out over your head, along your ears, roll your shoulder blades back. Take a deep breath here. I know that you can feel this one, feel that strength, feel that burn. And on the next inhale, lift up by straightening your legs. Bring your arms down by your side. Take a deep breath here in Tadasana. You can straighten your feet out so your toes are no longer together. And we're going to lift our arms up overhead and just pour all the way back down into that forward fold. So if you can't reach the floor, that's no problem. You can come to your knees, you can come to your shins. You also can use blocks here, right? If you can't make it to the floor, bring the floor to you. And we're just going to take a couple breaths here. I like to shake my head yes and no, just letting all that tension pour out of your body. And then we're going to repeat that. We're going to bring our toes together, heels out wide, sink your hips back, bend your knees, arms come out overhead along your ears, shoulder blades rolled back, and lift into chair pose. From here, you're going to bring your hands into heart center, and just like we did in the lunge, you're going to rotate to the left and hook that right elbow on your left knee. And just breathe right here. Just breathe. You can do it. Feel that heat. Rotate back to center. And we'll push down into your feet, rooting up to rise into a standing position. Bring your hands back to heart center. And just breathe here for a moment. And notice the heat in your body from when we started. Connect to that heart center. Is it shining brighter now? From here, take a deep breath. Exhale. On your next inhale, hands come up overhead, and we're going to float right back down into that forward fold. Hands come to the mat in front of you. Even if you need to really bend your knees to do that, do so. And we're just going to step back into a plank or a kneeling plank, whatever is available to your body. And then I want you to roll over onto your left wrist, pulling your right arm up. Your toes are going to shift. And we're going to come into a side plank. If this is difficult, put your knee down, and you can even kickstand it behind you and still engage that core to get the benefits of the side plank here. If you want an additional challenge, you can bring that top leg up. Or if you loved tree pose from some of our other vinyasas, you can also come into a tree with your side plank. Just stay here for another breath. You can do it. Feel that core, feel your strength. Think of this as just shining out. And on your next exhale, bring your arm back down. Come back into a regular plank or a kneeling plank, and then lower all the way down with control. And we're going to come up into a cobra. So legs are together in a tight tail. Hands are under the shoulders, and just lift up with your back strength. And exhale, forehead back to mat. Inhale, lifting from your back, and exhale. On your next inhale, we're going to push up into a plank. So curl your toes under, push up into a plank or a kneeling plank, and then we're going to bring that right foot forward into our runner's lunge position. And we're just going to repeat all of those poses now on the right side. So if you need to bring your knee down, do. If you're able to, though, really root down into those feet, engage your core, and rise up into a lunge position. Breathe. Feel your strength. Distribute your weight evenly into both feet, pushing down. Lift up, pull your spine up, out as your feet root down. Pull that spine up high. Hands come together at heart center. And just breathe, feeling your strength, feeling the heat you're generating. And on your next inhale, on your exhale, start to hinge forward. And maybe you stay right here. But if you're able, turn from that heart center, rotating over that bent leg, over your right leg, rotating, rotating. And stay here if this feels good to your body. Just breathe. If you're able, connect that the left elbow to your right knee. And you can even open your arms out here. I like to keep mine at prayer center. It keeps me focused. Heart center. And just breathe. You can do it. Feel that heat. Feel your strength. Surprise yourself with how strong you are. How much you're able to stay here and withstand that heat and build more. And on your next inhale, rise up into a lunge. Bring your hands down by your side. And then connect them to the mat, coming back into a running lunge. Step your left foot forward, meeting the right, about hip distance apart, and come into that forward fold. Breathe in and out through your nose. Just breathe. Feeling that heat that you generated in the body. Just breathe. Shake your head yes and no if that feels good to you. Bend your knees as much as you need to, or get blocks for your hands. And then bring your toes together, feet out, heels out wide. Sink down into your knees. Pull your lower abs in and sit back into that chair, squeezing everything inward. So like you have a block between your thighs, hug in. And bring your arms up overhead alongside your ears. Breathe here. Feel that heat. Feel that fire. Connect to your core. And on your next exhale, push down into your feet and rise up. You can bring your toes out parallel. Hands come down to heart center, into Tadasana, and just inhale and exhale. Lift up, arms overhead, and come all the way down into that forward fold. Bending your knees if you need to. Just breathe. Toes come together, heels stay out wide. And we're going to go back to that chair position. We've been here before, so we know what to expect. Knees bend, hips sink back. And this time, instead of bringing your arms out, bring them to heart center. And we're going to twist from that same heart center, from the center of your chest. Twist, bringing that left elbow to the right knee. Again, you can open your arms out wide if that's more comfortable to you. You can stay here at heart center. Just breathe. If you need to straighten your legs and then come back into it, you can do that. If you'd rather be in the chair, if this is a new position to you, you can do that. Just listen to your body, but don't be afraid of your own strength. Build the heat. One more breath. On the exhale, come back to chair, and then lift up by pushing down, rooting into your feet. Fold all the way over. Into that forward fold. Step back into a plank. And then we're going to do a side plank on this side. So this time the right arm stays down. Rotate on those toes. Again, if you already know that you need to come into a side plank, just don't collapse down. Stay strong through your core, lifting out the root of you, or the crown of your head. Foot is on the mat supporting you, and just be in your core very strong here. If you're able, come up to a side plank. Again, you can lift that top leg if you want an additional challenge. You can come into tree and just extend that top arm. Breathe here, building heat in your body, radiating that light from your core all the way out. And then bring your left hand back to the mat, knees into a kneeling plank, and we're going to lower it all the way down with control, bending at the elbows, coming to the mat, and we're going to lift up again into cobra. Breathing in and out. Feel the heat in your body. Feel your core center fired up, glowing brighter than when you started. Come into a tabletop position and then right back up into another plank. Step the left foot into a lunge and then bring the right foot to join it. Root down and rise up, and then turn to the long edge of your mat. We're going to step our feet about 4 feet, 3 feet apart, whatever's comfortable for you. You think if your arms are out wide, you want your feet under your wrists essentially, but don't go too far if it's not comfortable. So feet out wide, toes are pointed toward the corners of your mat, and we're just going to sink into that goddess pose. So do a couple, whatever you need to do to get comfortable in this pose. So your abs are engaged. Your core is hugging in. Your knees are pointed outward. And we're going to do Ha Kriya, or joyous breath, really bringing heat and fire to the body. You should already feel this burning in your legs maybe. Just let yourself shine. You can do this. So we're going to start with our arms about shoulder height. Turn your palms up. I like to do fists. And we're going to do a round of 4, pulling in like this, 4 coming overhead, 2, 2, 1, and 1. Are you ready? So go ahead and straighten your legs, and then we'll come right back into it and do Ha Kriya breath from goddess pose. Take a deep breath. Exhale and sink down, bending your knees into goddess pose, and let's begin. Ha! 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 Stay here in goddess, connect your hands to your knees. And just like we did on the ground, we're going to bring our left shoulder dipping in, look up over your right side, and then dip your right shoulder down and in, pushing out, bringing in space, looking up to the left side. Gaze comes to the ceiling, and just connect with your breath as you flow through here. Just breathe. Take one more on each side and then slowly straighten the legs, rolling the head comes up last. We're just going to heel toe our feet back together. Close your eyes, take a moment in Tadasana with your feet rooted and your hands down by your side. Crown is up, lengthening through your neck, your back, your shoulders. Roll your shoulders back a couple of times. And now just notice the fire in your core. open your eyes, turn back facing the tall edge of your mat. I'm sorry, the short edge of your mat. Arms come up overhead. We're gonna float all the way down into a forward fold. One more time. Bend your knees and come to a tabletop position. Take a few rounds of cat and cow if you'd like here. And then we're going to come into a seated position. Just a comfortable seat here. And you can be in hero pose if that's more comfortable to you. You can be on your knees. I like to be seated for this. And I really want you to let your lower body just be rooted on the ground, and then really think about pulling your lower abs in, your ribs together, your shoulders. I roll them a couple of times and drop them down your back. Really lengthen through your spine, through your neck, the crown of your head. Don't jut your jaw forward, pull it back. Just do a neutral position. And from here, we're going to put one hand on the ground and bring one up overhead. So I'm going to start with my right hand, just my fingers tented, and stretch overhead. And then I'm going to flow with my breath and bring my left fingers tented to the ground and my right arm overhead. So do that just a few times, and then the next time, flowing with your breath. Just breathe here. And then the next time your right arm is overhead, keep your spine straight, so don't bend. Seated upright, I want you to bend at your elbow, like you're patting yourself on the back, and then you're going to bring your left arm around to meet that. And then we're just going to flow back and forth. Breathe in and out. And then the next time your left arm is up, you're going to bend that elbow. You're patting yourself on the back. Bring that right arm, wrap it around to meet it so that your fingers touch. This is a great place to grab that towel or that strap, and I'm actually going to turn around to show you what this looks like. So, stay seated, and we're just going to tent our right fingers down on the ground. Left arm comes up, we bend and stretch. Left arm comes down to the ground, right hand comes up overhead, bend and stretch. Returning those fingers. This time we bring the left arm up, bend that elbow like I'm patting myself on the back. The right hand comes to meet it, palm facing outward. And these hands can touch, they can clasp. Do not bend your head, right? Keep your head up straight. And if these fingers don't match, if you're right here, that is where your strap is, your friend. So I like to bring the strap in my hand as I'm patting myself on the back, and then just let this grab wherever it may. If right here is where you feel it in your shoulders, great. Then this is right where you are. And then I like to just leave the strap on my shoulder and repeat. This time my right arm picks it up, my left arm comes. And again, if a strap is not available, if you don't have a strap, a towel, just the idea. So let's go ahead and flow through this connected with your breath. So left arm comes up overhead and then sweeps down. Right arm comes up overhead and then sweeps down. Left arm comes up, bends. Right hand comes to meet it. Breathe here in and out, and then release. This time right arm comes up overhead, and then back tented on the mat. Left arm comes up overhead, tented on the mat. Right arm comes up overhead, and we meet these fingers, taking a couple of breaths here. Feel that opening. And let's just repeat that one more time on each side. Just breathe. Connected with your breath. Left arm and right arm come together. Breathe in arm comes back to the mat, right comes overhead. And just think of these arms radiating out like bright rays of light. Right arm comes to meet left. And in this position, just picture that center, that core center engaged but shining out brightly. Now that you've added all that heat, bring both hands back to the mat. And we're just going to rotate so that you are sitting with your feet toward the short edge of your mat. And we're going to finish out by doing a boat pose to a low boat and really firing up that core one more time. So start with your feet just bent, knees bent, feet on the mat. And then I want you to tent your fingers. We're tenting our fingers a lot today. And that's because we're relying on our core strength instead of our arm strength. So tent your fingers, and I want you to bring your pointer finger pointing at your body. Pointer finger pointing at your body. And then roll your shoulders back and bend your elbows just slightly. See how that makes me engage my core and straighten my back? Right here, you are in the pose. If at any point you collapse into that back, come back to this. Use your hands to help you. Here you are in the pose, and you can just breathe in and out. And then from here, if you can keep that alignment in your spine, go ahead and bring your hands behind your knees, grabbing your thighs. And take a couple breaths here, just breathe. The next variation would be to bring one foot up and then the other. If at any point you compromise that spine, just go back to this position. So keep your chest elevated. Picture that light shining out brightly to the world, that heat, that light, that brightness that you bring. And then from here, you should really feel this into the core. You're able to bring a hand out to each side. And this is boat pose. Over time, depending on how much flexibility you have in your hamstrings, you can straighten one or both feet. And again, anytime you lose that spine, right? If I start to round, I'm just going to come right back. And then from here, let's go ahead and lower all the way down to the mat. We're going to take a breath and then repeat that. So just breathe. You should really feel your core on fire, engaged. And on your next exhale, come back up. So knees bent, feet rooted into the ground. Tent those fingers, roll your shoulders back, and come back to that engaged core. Your back, your abs, everything's pulling in, lifting you up, crown of the head toward the ceiling. And you can stay right here, just breathing. If you're able, go ahead and bring your feet up. And then if you want to straighten and lower your grip, release your grip, you can. This is a good place to use a strap if you want to practice getting those feet straight. But again, don't ever compromise that spine. Anytime you bring a bend into that spine, you've lost the pose, so just come back. And then over time, you can work to your own variation. I want everyone to try this. So bring your hands behind your thighs and feet up, even if you can only bring them up this much. And we're going to, from here, lower everything down in one motion, but not come to the mat. And this is low boat. So your feet are out, your hands are hovering, your neck is hovering. See that core engagement? And then pull up into boat. Let's repeat that. Low boat, feel that. You should really feel it. You can probably see me shaking a little bit. I'm really working here. And then pull up into boat. Let's do it one more, a final time. Give it everything you have. Really fire up your core. Low boat, toes pointed or flexed, hands hovering, gaze toward the ceiling. Breathe in and out, just breathe, and come back up into boat, putting your feet back on the ground if they're not there already. And if you stayed right here, great. Work on that spine. A lot of us sit all day and hunch, and so maybe this is where we need to be for a few weeks. Bring your hands behind your knees to your thighs, and we're going to slowly roll down one vertebrae at a time, coming to the mat with control. And then we're just going to stretch our feet out long onto the mat. Maybe take a couple wobbles here if you need to. I like to bounce up and down on my heels a little bit, getting that extra energy out. And then bring your arms one to your lower belly and one a little bit higher. Just feeling that core part of yourself. And with your hands here, close your eyes and just allow yourself to breathe in and out. Feel that strength that you brought into your body. Just breathe. Notice the heat, the energy, the power that lives inside you. Just breathe. As you continue to connect your breath, let anything in the practice that you judged go. Anywhere you told yourself you should have been stronger or done more, leave that on your mat. And instead focus on your hands as they rise and fall. Feel that warmth at your core center. And then just breathe in and out as you start to picture a bright light overhead, shining on the top of your head. And that light begins to pour down inside of you. Feel it warming you, igniting you, breathing peace and letting go as that bright light continues to spread through you, shining down through your forehead, behind your eyes, your cheeks, your lips, your teeth and jaw. Let go as it shines through you, down your neck, your collarbone, your shoulders. Feel it warm you as it spreads down your arms, into your hands. Picture it expanding out through your hands, through the tips of your fingers. Just breathe. Feel as this light expands through your body, your chest, your upper back, your abdomen and your lower back, your hips, your quads and knees. Feel the warmth as it spreads through your shins and ankles. Let go as that light replaces any tension, any darkness in your feet, your heels, arch of your foot, balls of your feet, tops of your feet. And then visualize that light shining out through all 10 toes. Just stay here, breathing in that nourishing light. And then bring your attention to that core part of you where your hands rest. And picture that same light that
that nourishes you and strengthens you, shining out for others to see. Picture that light radiating out into the world, spreading joy, love, and energy. Take a few more deep breaths here. Just sensing your own ability to shine in the world. Bring your hands back to the ground and breathing in and out, start to bring little movements to your toes and fingers, wiggling them, your wrists, your feet, rolling the ankles. Take a big stretch overhead like you just woke up. Oh, and let it go. Roll over onto one side, using your arm as a pillow. And take a pause just here for a moment. Breathing in, feeling that warmth you invited into your body that you created. And on your next exhale, use your top arm to push up and come into a seated position. You can close your eyes, bring your hands to heart center, and we're just going to rub the palms of the hands together, creating heat one last time. Let the friction of your palms bring that heat. And then without opening your eyes, bring the palms of your hands over your eyes and just hold your head. And notice that warmth and darkness as you turn inward. Feel that bright light shining from your core center. And then keeping your hands over your eyes, open your eyes into this darkness. And notice your ability to sense that light inside you, even in the outside world. Slowly lower your hands to your knees. Open your eyes and bring your hands to heart center. As always, it is a pleasure and an honor for me to share the joy that is yoga with you. The bright light that lives inside of me recognizes the beautiful bright light that lives in each of you. Namaste.